After a very mediocre first season, Legends of Tomorrow really had the task of trying to find out what tone it wanted to have in its second season. Did it want to be the dark and serious show that Season 1 showed glimmers of, or did it want to go for the more campy and fun elements that we started to see during that same season? Well, Season 2 decided to go for the latter, and it most certainly worked. Season 2 is pretty much better than Season 1, for me personally, in almost every single way. And it's exactly the fun time travel DC TV show that I've wanted the show to be when it was first conceptualized. The story for Season 2 of Legends of Tomorrow is focused on the legends being scattered throughout time after the Wave Rider crashes. They are eventually reunited when Dr. Nate Haywood suspects where the legends are with the help of Oliver Queen, and as a result, when the legends are reformed, they decide to go around the time and stop time aberrations that are being caused by people who are trying to disrupt the timeline by manipulating it. This eventually leads into the subplot of Eobard Thawne, who is trying to form a group of villains entitling themselves the Legion of Doom, who are trying to find an artifact known as the Spear of Destiny, which has the ability to rewrite reality and change it permanently. My first big positive that I can give to Season 2 is the Legion of Doom themselves. They were a far superior team of villains compared to Season 1's main villain, which was of course Vandal Savage. I found Vandal Savage to be a really underwhelming villain, mainly because his motives just weren't that great, and he wasn't threatening enough of a presence for me personally. Whereas the Legion of Doom all consists of already established characters from Flash and Arrow. My favourite one out of the four by far has to be Eobard Thawne as the Reverse Flash. I really loved him as, the main villain of the season. I thought he was amazing, and I loved him in The Flash, so when I heard that they were bringing him over to Legends, I was even more happier because it meant I'd just get to see more of him on screen. I like the other Legends as well, and the one that surprised me the most was by far Damien Dark, who was of course the main villain of Arrow Season 4, and I really wasn't a fan of him in that season because the type of villain that he was, which was this very comedic and very campy and very jokey villain, he didn't suit the tone of Arrow, and I always said that he would have rather suited the tone of a show like Legends. And now that he's on here, he feels like a much better villain. He was just way better. He felt a lot more comedic and funny, and he just suits the tone of the show and everything around him. And I really do hope we see more of him in these kind of, campier DC CW shows, and not on shows like Arrow, because I feel like these are the shows where his character is utilized the best. Of course, the rest of the other members, Malcolm Merlin and Captain Cold, they were all very good as well. They didn't play as big of a role, but I still enjoyed them nevertheless, and they were still really fun to have on screen. I also really like the new additions to the Legends, such as Nate and Amaya. I think Nate was probably one of my favourite characters. I really loved him as an addition to the team. He was very good, and while he's on the team, he essentially becomes Citizen Steel, which is really cool to see. And of course, we had Amaya on here, who is Vixen, who's of course the grandmother of the Vixen that we saw on that one episode in Arrow Season 4. I thought she was really good. I honestly think she's better than the Vixen in modern day. I think she was way better than her, to be perfectly honest. I just liked her story, with her essentially wanting to get revenge on the Reverse Flash for what he did to her boyfriend in 1942. That was really good story, and just how it evolved from there, from her just fixated on taking him down to eventually her really becoming a core part of the team. And that was really cool to see. I also really loved Mick Rory / Heatwave on this season. He's by far my favourite character on the show. I just love the writing that they did with him this season, because I felt like he was very underutilized in Season 1, but in Season 2, he's given way more to do, and he is just so funny to have on screen. I mean, seriously, please just give this guy more lines and more of a story, because whenever they do, it's always hilarious, and I just hope that he's just as funny next season. I also really liked the better story that it had overall. I just felt like the season-long story had a lot more focus, and because it was more of a campy story and it didn't take itself too seriously, it worked a lot better for the show. And I also thought the finale was really good. In terms of the Arrowverse finales as a whole, this was definitely one of the better ones, and I really enjoyed it. It was way better than Season 1's finale. It just had a lot of really cool moments, and very touching moments, actually. One moment in particular in the finale that I'm not ashamed to admit made me cry. But that's just how great this show is, and I can only commend the showrunners for just improving on the story, telling so much in this second season to the point where it feels like a different show in terms of its quality and also what it does, and that's only a good thing. I do have two problems, however, with this season. Although they might be nitpicks, I still did have them throughout the season as a whole. The first one is essentially what a plot hole of the Spear of Destiny. I'm not going to spoil it because, like I said, I really enjoyed the season. I don't want to spoil the story for you, but it's something about the the logic of the Spear of Destiny, which is that, of course, once you rewrite reality, it can't be rewritten through time travel. That kind of gets broken. I'm not going to spoil how, but that rule is kind of broken in the latter half of the season, which I found a bit confusing. They never really explained it that great, to be honest. But I know it's a bit of a nitpick, but it was definitely a big question mark that I had when it happened. And the other one being the lack of the use of Firestorm, which is, of course, the combination of Jax and Martin Stein. I really felt like the show was trying its best at all times to not use Firestorm, and I understand it's for budgetary reasons, but it was just crazy how little of Firestorm we got this season, and I think it's really cool when we see Firestorm, and it was just a shame that they tried their absolute best at all times to not use him, because like I said, he's really cool on screen, and I love Firestorm as a character from the DC Comics. So it is a shame that we didn't see a lot of him in this season, but here's me hoping that in Season 2 they do use him a lot more. So overall, I thought Season 2 of Legends of Tomorrow was a big step up from Season 1. Not just in terms of the writing, but also in terms of the new additions in comparison to the ones we had last season. And just overall, it felt like a different show, but for all of the right reasons. So for that reason, I'm going to give Legends of Tomorrow the grade of a B+. I really did like this season. Honestly, I may even say it's been, at the moment, the best show in terms of the current lineup out of the current seasons. I think Legends of Tomorrow has been the best so far. I mean, Arrow's been pretty close behind it, and we're still waiting for the last 5 episodes of that, so it all could change, but right now, Legends of Tomorrow would probably take top spot. It's just been so great this season, and I just can't wait to see where they go with Season 3.